Operation Overlord, launched on D-Day, the 6th of June 1944, was the largest military invasion in history, with 156,000 troops landing on the Normandy beaches on the first day alone. Yet it was not until June 1945, over a year after D-Day, that the local newspaper splashed the headline, "How Southampton Supplied Invasion Armies is Told for the First Time." In 1944, Ocean Village in Marina was filled with landing craft ready to make the journey across the channel. At the time it was known as the Outer Dock, opened in 1842, and there is a small plaque on the wall leading to the former tidal dock, stating on June the 6th, 1944, men sailed from the dock in landing craft and landing ship to liberate Europe. At the time of rapid industrial expansion, this dock was soon outgrown by the ships it was supposed to berth. In 1890, the Empress Dock was opened by Queen Victoria. The largest vessels of the world could enter or leave at any state of the tide, the only port in the UK which could make this claim. Once the sight of Fyffe's Bananas, now based in the container dock, you can see the Prime Minister with General Smuts from South Africa making a morale-boosting visit to the troops embarking for D-Day. As well as assembling a vast array of ships, Empress Dock also saw the construction of elements of the Mulberry Harbour. Today it is the home of the School of Oceanography. At the dock head, where the River Test meets the River Itchen, these Itchen quays were added in 1895. In the film we can see unidentified troops, possibly reconnaissance corps, leaving from berth 34. The colour film was taken by Miss Rosie Newman. She achieved access because she was at one time the neighbour of the royal family, before King George VI succeeded to the throne. As we leave the eastern docks, we pass the former docks office, where there is also a tablet to those lost during World War II. We join Canute Road and pass Southwestern Hotel, or HMS Shrapnel, the Royal Navy Combined Operation Military Movement Control Headquarters, as we travel as far as the platform, the site of the former ceremonial gun platform. This area outside the platform tavern has changed substantially since World War II, because the shoreline is pushed back and the land used for offices, where the S3 Hard once stood. The wartime photo of the pub shows how close the shoreline was at one time. Although we do not have any film of loading at S3, the platform tavern, we are extremely fortunate to have colour film of LCIL 299, or Landing Craft Infantry Large 299, leaving on D-Day with Canadian troops ready for Juno Beach in Normandy. Beyond Town Quay there is S2 Hard, and once again we have Miss Rosie Newman to thank for the film of US Army loading at the Hard with the Royal Pier in the background. On the Town Quay there is a plaque attached to Starbucks coffee shop. If we cross Mayflower Park, we arrive at the last of the Hards, at S1. All that remains is the Hard standing, which is covered by a basketball court. There is a deal of film showing both armour and elements of the US 9th Engineer Command leaving from this Hard. It was vitally important to provide Allied troops with armour to prevent them being swept back into the sea. And although it seems strange to load earth-moving equipment with the first waves of assault troops, they made sure they could build their own airfields, which would provide air cover. In July 43, the US Army 14th Major Port Transport Corps arrived in Southampton to coordinate the movement of American troops and equipment through the port, and film shows Patton's Third Army leaving from the Western Docks. The Western Docks is the location for the photo most associated with Southampton on D-Day. The masses of a landing craft moored alongside the quayside, the same quayside used by today's cruise liners. There is also film of a Liberty ship unloading pre-packed Sherman tanks at the King George V graving dock. Before D-Day, this basin was used to construct what local residents were told were floating pontoons, which were to turn out to be parts for the Mulberry Harbour. Once the largest dry dock in the world, today the King George V graving dock is unused. The Sherman tanks were part of the Lend-Lease agreement with the US to provide the UK with material to fight the war. Perhaps it is fitting to leave the last word to the plaque which still remains outside the former US headquarters at the Civic Centre, which states, "Between D-Day June the 6th and the end of hostilities, orders were issued from here directing the embarkation of the American armies, who together with their allies sailed from Southampton docks to liberate Europe. During the operation over 2.25 million troops and 250,000 vehicles and millions of tons of supplies of the US Army were shipped through this port."